In the last 14 years, I've sold hundreds of homes all over the city. I really get frustrated with market reports that talk about the average sale prices of the homes going up in value. You see, it may only mean that people are either buying more expensive homes or the fact that 5 mega houses sold last month and increased the market average or the statistic. That's why I created this special report where I talk about the average sales price per square foot. To see if the average sales price per square foot goes up in value, that means people are paying more for houses. Secondly, I like to look at the inventory supply, meaning I like to look at how many homes are available now in different areas versus what sold last month. If you're a buyer, it'd be great to know that if there's 2 times more homes available than sold last month, then you're in a great position to negotiate your best price. Secondly, if you notice as a seller that there's half as many homes available now as sold last month, well, you might be in a good position to get a great price.
To help make our stats a little bit more relevant to you, I'm going to divide up the city into different quadrants. We're going to do the inner city, the northwest section, the southwest, and what we're talking is west of Sarcee, because we would consider anything east of Sarcee to be inner city. The deep south, which would be Fish Creek, Chaparral, Mahogany, all of these south areas. And lastly, we'll do the northeast. At the end of the video, we'll go over the whole market so you can compare how your numbers match up with the overall. So for the inner city in September, we had 272 sales, and those properties sold for $512 a square foot on average and $475 a foot for the median price. That's where most of the buyers were buying. And you can see that there were properties priced square footage between 1420 and 1623 square feet. Now when we look at August sales as a comparison, exactly the same amount of sales for the time period, which is kind of remarkable, but you can see that it's not the same report, obviously. And $464 a square foot was the median price, and $496 was the average sale price. So sales price is a little bit higher for the month of September compared to August of this year. Now, when we look at how that compares to last year, 294 sales last year, so actually more sales last year than this year, and $433 a square foot was the median price, and $460 was the high price. So sales or the prices per square foot are definitely up compared to last year, but also you'll notice that the size of the properties were actually smaller last year as well. Now we look at the sold compared to what's active and available. We actually have 813 active listings available, and those are priced at about $552 a square foot on the average, and the median where most of the buyers would be interested in buying would be around 501 as opposed to what's sold. So really what we're talking about is that the buyers were looking for properties last month priced between $479 a square foot and $521, and where most buyers are buying is $501 to $552, which means that there's going to be some active sales, but it really means that there's a lot more available. This is more like more than almost 3 months supply of property out there. There's a lot of inventory to buy right now. And when you look at the average prices, the sales prices were between 704 was where most of the buyers were buying, and 847 was the high price. And you can see here that what's left remaining on the market is higher square footage, and it's priced higher as well. Now we look at the inventory supply. We can see a supply and demand number here. We can see that in the lower price ranges, the race is really close, meaning that there's not very many less sales or more available than there was sales last month. As a matter of fact, there's just slightly more available, 24 to 25 available in the 500 to 550 group. And of course, as we get to the high-end group, 22 sales and 149 properties available, over 1.5 million, which means that in this particular sector, there's an oversupply of homes, and there's an oversupply of homes all the way, let's say, up to 850 to 900. We've got over 2 times the homes available as sold last month, but then below that, we've got a lot more stable or a lot better market for the seller. This is the only market from 750 to 800. We had 13 sales and we had 43 available, which is definitely an oversupply in that market, and I guess this would be an oversupply here as well. So now we'll move on to the northwest section. Okay, so for the northwest, 391 sold listings in September. They were priced between $302 a square foot and $319 is where they sold, and they were sold very close to the asking prices. and 495 was the median where most buyers were buying in the Northwest, and the sales price was 521 for the average, and they were 34 days on market. Now when we look how that compares to last last month, 396 sales, so definitely a few more sales, but the prices were about the same. Actually, wasn't much different price per square foot, which is kind of expected. 31 days on market, a little bit less, but I would say that's almost the same. And when we compare that to September of last year, 361 sales, so 30 sales more for this year compared to last year, and days on market about the same, but $280 a square foot last year for the median, where most buyers are buying, and $296 were the average, and the average sale price was $455 for the medium, and $496 was the average. Now all this means is when you look at the sale prices that people were buying more expensive homes, but so it's less of a number to look at, but this price per square foot is more meaningful, which means that prices are up for the Northwest. Now when we look at what we have for inventory available, we have 637 listings, so a little bit more, almost 2 months supply, not quite, and that inventory is priced at $335 on average, and it's well within the reach of the buyers who are looking for properties at $325 a square foot. Having said that, what's available on the market is priced between $549 and $606, and you can see that just a little bit above where the buyers were buying last month, priced between $499 and $531, which means that some of the buyers will have to stretch because the homes that are left on the market are a little bit bigger, but they're priced a little bit better. Now we look at the inventory for the Northwest supply. You can see that we had actually from 350 to 400, we're desperate in need of properties because we have less homes available today than sold last month. And in the 400 to 450 range, 83 compared to 73 sold. So that's definitely an undersupply situation there. And I would say that we have a little bit of an oversupply situation at 450 to 500. And this is a pretty close race at 500 to 550. And then from there we have an oversupply situation that is basically above the 550 to 6. We have more homes available than there's buyers, so it's a little bit easier for you to buy, and these price ranges past the 550 mark. Now we're going to move to the southwest section. We're talking west of Sarcee, Aspen, these areas, Signal Hill, and so forth. So with the southwest section, we had 78 sold listings in the month of September, and they were priced on per square foot at $354 a square foot, and the median where most of the buyers were was $337.28 a square foot. Now when we compare that to the previous month, 71 sales. So sales were up a little bit, but just 7 sales for the Northwest, and those were priced about the same, I would say. Whereas the median where most of the buyers were buying was $331. We're very, very close, except for the fact that people had to actually look at properties that were a little bit more expensive, and they were a little bit, well, about the same size. And let's just see what they looked at. So they were looking at properties that were priced a little bit better in August than they were in September. So what's happening is the sellers are asking a little bit more money, and but not necessarily saying that they're getting it. Maybe slightly. How's that compared to last year? Last year, 77 sold listings. So we can say that the numbers of sales are about the same, but the prices are up. Whereas the average was 333 last year, it's 354. So the price per square foot is definitely higher, and the average sale price was $769 as opposed to $791 compared to last year. So the prices are definitely up. And when we look at how much inventory supply we have, we're definitely oversupplied for the Northwest. 233 active listings compared to 78 sales. So we might start to see the fall market taper off on sales a little bit. What's happening up here is the expectations are people looking for homes priced between $341 and $361 a square foot. And what they're finding is $412 to $744. The median is the most popular group. So what's left on the market is actually quite high. As far as the averages are concerned, we've got a couple of properties that really have changed the average price points of the properties. So all I can say is that where the buyers, and of course they're bigger, so where the buyers are expecting to buy the homes, the prices are escaping them a little bit, and some of these listings certainly indicate that. So when it comes to inventory supply, this is what our numbers show. So our numbers are really showing that we've got some properties here. We've got On the high end properties over 1.5 million, we got 58 available and just 4 sales in the month of September. And so we see an oversupply on the higher end group. And it's just really when you get down to this group here where you start to see some, we had 8 sales, 700 to 750, which is sold more than was available. And we had some close races here on the lower end. But as we go on the high end stuff, we see that there's an oversupply. And now we'll move to the Deep South. Evergreen, Silverado, Cranston, Mackenzie-Town, all these south areas. Now in the Deep South, we had 402 sold listings, and they were priced between $287 and $303 a square foot. Buyers were paying between $460,000 to $507,000. Now this median number always represents the largest part of the purchasing group. Now we look at how many actually sold the previous month, 396, very, very close, similar sales. But it's good to see that September was actually higher than actually August was. It means that people got back to work. So but the prices were a little bit better in August, so people asking a little bit more money, and as even the list prices have gone up for September. Now when we look at how that compares to last year we had 367, so sales were definitely up compared to last year, and those prices were 263 to 280 a square foot. Now when we look at the supply of homes, we have a month and a half, a little bit better than a month and a half supply, which means that market's still pretty good up there, and where people are looking to buy, 297 is what where most of the properties are sitting per square foot, and you can see this is kind of a close match to what was sold last month per square foot. The only difference would be, of course, the fact the average sale price. So the buyers were really looking at properties between 469 and 516, but where we've got most inventory is between 539 and 607 because it's bigger, which means that what's left on the market is priced a little bit higher per square foot on the average, and it's also bigger. So we may see the market slow down a little bit up there. And we look at the inventory supply. Wow, look at this. So between 350 and 400,000 down there, we have less homes available today than sold last month. And look at this group from 400 to 450. This is your hot group, and then every other group after that is kind of goes more towards an oversupply situation. So these other groups, of course, up here, there's small amounts of movement. I guess when you look at 1.3 to 1.4 million, it's 3 sales and 4 available. I guess that's a close race, but you can see within this whole price range here, there's not much available, not much selling really in those higher price groups. But definitely up until we get to 550, it's very, very close race and not very many homes to buy. You've got to be really on the ball to pick up a property there. And next we'll look at the northeast section of the city. Okay, so for the month of September, up in the northeast, 248 sales. And for that month, they're priced, the median price where most purchases were buying was 307 a square foot, and the average was 310, and we had 1,200 square feet there. Now look, August was 270 sales, so sales were down for August, so people lost interest a little bit, and also the square footage price was less for the month of August than it was for the month of September, which means the prices are up for September slightly for the housing there. Now we look at compared to last year, 251 sold listings last year in the same time period, so it's about the same, but the prices per square foot much different. 269 on the average, on the median square foot, and 278 compared to like 310. So when we look at that, it looks like the prices are definitely up from last year. Now when we look at the inventory supply and compare that, 491 listings, almost double, which means that it's a good buyer's market down there, and the prices of what's down there are fairly reasonable. Buyers were expecting to look at homes on the average. They were expecting to find homes at priced at 315 a square foot, and they're gonna find homes at 316. So that's a pretty close race there, but looks like there's going to be some homes available for them to buy. The buyers were looking for homes that were priced at 369.9, and the median group was at 374. So it's a little bit high on the average. The square footages are about the same, which means that the sellers have made every attempt to keep the prices in line, but you're going to find that there's less buyers out there than there was, or just double the amount of inventory. So that's what it looks like in the Northeast. Okay, so looking at the overall market, we can see that we had We looked at the sales. We look at 2,971 sold listings in the month of September, and we compare that to last year with 2609 sales at that time. So we are up actually about, looks like we're up about almost 300 sales. So that's pretty good for this time period that we're up compared to last year. Added list though, we actually have a lot more inventory than we had last year. So we got 8,700 listings on the market currently, and last year we had 8,165. We actually dropped about 250 listings over the previous month. So the inventory numbers and the sales number, our average sale price now is $475. Last year was $450. So it's up about 25,000, which is not that meaningful of a number. It really just means that more people are buying more expensive homes. But as I showed you, we looked at the square footage prices. They're also up as well.
Since the year 2000, I've sold hundreds of homes all over the city. I can help you. And remember, as always, commissions are negotiable.